Thank you for coming to this conversation, and we're excited to share with you some things that are happening in the life of the church, some visions that we have for the future, and we're going to start with a liturgy of thanksgiving. And you'll see on the screen, we each will have parts of the reading, and you'll hear us close by saying, "Hear our prayer," and your response would be, "God of love, we give you thanks." So let's begin in a time of prayer. Friends, we gather today to celebrate all that God is doing among us in our ministries, our people, and our shared mission to grow love in the world. For the blessings of this community and for the work of God through Indian Run, hear our prayer. God of love, we give you thanks.
For the children who learn and laugh in our classrooms, for the teachers and volunteers who guide them in faith, for the joy of Vacation Bible School and the songs of our children's choir, hear our prayer.
God of love, we give you thanks. For our youth growing in courage and compassion, for mission trips that open eyes and hearts, for mentors and leaders who show that following Jesus what following Jesus looks like. Hear our prayer. God of love, we give you thanks.
For adults who study, pray, and serve together, for small groups that nurture faith and friendship, for the growing spirit of discipleship among us, hear our prayer.
God of love, we give you thanks.
For the ministries of care that hold us in love, for the prayers offered in times of joy and sorrow, for the ways we bear one another's burdens, hear our prayer.
God of love, we give you thanks.
For the beauty of worship, for music that stirs our hearts and words that draw us near to you, for all who lead us to encounter your presence each week, hear our prayer. God of love, we give you thanks. For missions that reach beyond our walls, for partnerships that feed, shelter, and serve, for every act of compassion that makes your love visible, hear our prayer. God of love, we give you thanks.
For faithful leaders and staff who serve with vision and heart, for generosity that sustains our ministries, for every person who says, "I'm in," and lives it out, hear our prayer. God of love, we give you thanks.
And for the future you are calling us toward, a future that is more than Sunday, more than church, where your love will grow deeper and reach farther than ever before, hear our prayer.
God of love,
We give you thanks. O God of love, your faithfulness and the faithfulness of past generations have brought us to this moment. As we celebrate what has been and look toward what will be, fill us with gratitude, courage, and hope. Make us one in your spirit, that together we may follow the way of Jesus and shine your light in all that we do. Hear our prayer. God of love, we give you thanks. Amen. All right, I thank these members of our leadership board and the other members of the leadership board who will be helping present today. Our goal is to speak for about 45 minutes and then offer about 15 minutes for Q&A, so we hope to be done by 1:10. We want to take time this afternoon to celebrate things and to bring you up to date on all that happens within our church. Some things you may not even be aware of, ministries that are happening and things that are the good things that are happening, and also some other things that we're doing as we seek to look long term. The leadership board is looking not just to tomorrow, but to the overall future of the church, and I thank them for their work in that. We're thinking about how do we better serve Dublin in this next season of our time together as a congregation. We've asked a lot in our vision team meetings and in our leadership board meetings, why does God want a church at the corner of Avery and Brand in Dublin? We heard a little in the sermon this morning about what the initial reasonings for that were as the Dublin community built up around us. What's next for our congregation in this next season? One of the goals of our leadership board is to be transparent. We want to make sure that everybody knows whatever it is that they want to know. Our meetings are always open. Anyone is welcome to participate in them. We do have closed sessions when we're talking about confidential stuff like staffing issues or things like that. But other than that, our meetings are open. They're the third Wednesday of every month at 6:30 p.m. And so we would welcome you to come and join us. And if you can't make it to the meeting, feel free to talk to any one of the board members. Contact me, contact the church office. We're here to support you and help you live into your call into ministry and to help our church be all that it can be. So I want to start this afternoon by talking about some things that we want to celebrate and things that we want to share with you. Our core values, I would be remiss if I didn't start with how our core values have begun to shape who we are. They've begun to be common language. You're hearing us use phrases like being safe for all, or building relational community, or having adventurous faith, or having a sense of authenticity in all that we do, putting our beliefs into action. Hopefully you've heard these words and phrases regularly in the life of our congregation. One thing that we found is that in all of our new member classes that we've had since we established our core values, a continuing refrain is, we're here, we want to be a part of your church because of the core values that you have. We're looking for a congregation that shares these same kind of values that we share. So these have been a good turning point for our ability as a church and as staff to plan ministries and to reach out to others. You've heard us talk in this past month about our new vision that we've come up with of being more than Sunday, more than church. And we're still figuring out what that means. The vision team was tasked with discerning where we're headed, where God is calling us. They were not tasked with how we're going to get there. We were very clear about that. We put up a sign with the word how, and it had a circle around it and a line through it. We're not talking about how we're doing it in the vision team meetings. We weren't then. But starting next Monday night, not tomorrow, but the following Monday night, November 10th, we're gathering a team together, whoever is interested in helping us live into this new vision, and figuring out what does it mean to be more than Sunday, more than church, for ourselves as a community of faith, but also as we reach out into the community. What are some... I think if we're going to be determining what success looks like with this initiative. So maybe it's 3 to 5 new things that we try throughout the next year that lead us out into the community, or that make us more than Sunday, more than church. So if you're interested in joining us for that, it's starting next Monday, November 10th. If you can't make it to that meeting, then let one of us know and we will get you plugged into that effort. Now I just want to talk a little bit about the different discipleship ministries that we have in the church. We want to remind you that we have a very active preschool and Parents Morning Out program. Our Parents Morning Out program is Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. It has classes of 10 children that are between the ages of 2 and 3. So it's preschool, and they meet from 9:15 to 11:45 as a way to just begin giving some parents a morning out, but also begin getting the kids acclimated to being away from parents as they may come to preschool. Our preschool program has 113 students this year across 9 classes, 7 classes in the morning, 3 classes in the afternoon, and we have a new offering this year. We have a pre-kindergarten program that expands from the normal preschool classes are 2.5 hours. The pre-K class is 4 hours. It goes through the lunch period as a way of preparing the children and building their stamina for when they move into the kindergarten experience in the coming year. So that's new this year. You may remember that Julie Stroop was our longtime preschool director for over 20 years, and she retired a couple years ago. Sue Fouts is our new preschool, not new, she's in her 2nd year of leading the preschool program now. Erin Wink is the leader of our Parents Morning Out program. They're both in their 2nd year of leadership, and I'm reminded of the great value they are as leaders, but they also remind me, and I see it all the time, how great all the leaders, the teachers in our preschool are. It's an absolute absolutely great program. The teachers in our Parents Morning Out program, we have a great teaching staff, and we're impacting about 140 kids through these two ministries on a daily basis that you don't see on Sunday mornings. And so we're sharing God's love with those children and their families. Moving on to our children's ministry, you may remember that Laura Hoover started as our director of children's ministries earlier this year, and she has been doing an absolutely fantastic job. She comes with a great deal of her own experience in teaching environments and classroom management. She has brought her own vision to this. We now have our Club 45 group, which is our pre-youth group. It's for 4th and 5th graders. They had just recently had their largest Club 45 event in years. There were 19 4th and 5th graders that were coming and bringing their friends to be a part of it. We had our VBS this year that was really focused in on a quality experience for the children and for the volunteers, and we achieved that this year. It was a great VBS that if you've never led VBS, it is a monstrous thing to try to be the leader of, and Laura has done she did a fantastic job this past year. It's still challenging to get volunteers for VBS. But what we continue to do is to make sure that it's a good experience for the adults, so that they want to become volunteers, want to continue to be volunteers going forward in the future. We've also moved back to having Sunday school at both services every Sunday. There was a season where we took a Sunday off every now and again when there was a 4-day weekend or when other things were happening because we couldn't get teachers, but we're now, it's something that families can rely on. Every single Sunday, we will have Sunday school. There will be activities for children during both of our services, and that has given another sense of energy and momentum to the children's ministry. We do still have paid Sunday school staff because we don't have enough volunteers for our Sunday school. So that is an expense to the church, but it also provides consistency in the classroom. But if you're considering how you might invest in the future of the church, this is one of those areas that we either need your time or your money, because if we don't have enough teachers, we're going to have to hire them, and that's what we've done. So we do continue to have paid staff for the Children's Ministry Sunday School program. Moving on to youth ministry, I'm blowing through all of these really quickly. There will be more time for questions as we have time permits, but I just want to make sure I get through everything. Our youth ministry, we have 50 to 60 kids that are connected into the youth ministry in various forms or fashions, whether they be plugging into our mission experiences or our Sunday, like standard kind of youth group or Bible studies, things like that. Many kids are not active in the rest of the life of the church, but they're active in our youth ministry. And that has brought in some families to our congregation as well. There are 23 youth in our confirmation class this year. Confirmation is 6th through 8th grade, so it's three classes or 3 years of all middle school years. And we did that so that we could have critical mass into the conversations and whatnot. So we have 23 kids in confirmation. As you may remember, we had our largest youth mission trip to Redbird in over a decade. We had 19 kids and 7 adults go on the youth mission trip, so there's lots of energy and momentum in our youth ministry. We are still searching for a youth pastor. That has been a challenge. There are other churches like ours, other United Methodist churches our size that have been looking for a youth pastor as well for many, many, many months, or if not over a year. So we continue to look for people, but we have been focusing in on getting the right person and waiting until we find the right person that will be the right fit for who we are and what we're looking for, rather than just hiring the first person available. So Andrea continues to lead the youth ministry, and that has some implications into the other things, because we are down a full-time staff member. When Russell left, he had built such great energy in adult discipleship, and as you may be aware, that that energy has kind of dwindled because we don't have a full-time staff person assigned to that. Andrea and I have been trying to limp along, but we're focusing our energies primarily on the youth right now. And then once we get a new youth pastor hired, then Andrea can move more fully into an associate pastor role and do more of the adult discipleship and that kind of stuff. But stay tuned. We're still figuring it out. Things might change a little bit as we assess what the needs are. But that's kind of where we are with that, with the youth pastor hiring, and also recognizing that we are down 40 hours of employment a week. So our staff is not able to do all the things that we would like to be able to do and offer all the things that we would like to be able to offer because we are short-staffed. Despite that, our small group ministry, our adult discipleship, has seen some growth this year. We have small groups that have been rebuilding post-COVID, and new small groups are emerging. And again, we will have more focus on adult discipleship once we get that staffing issue resolved. But we're looking toward, when we think about how to help people become more passionate followers of Jesus, we talked in our vision team meetings about how events like retreats or mission experiences or things like that can be those catalysts that take us a deeper step in our journey of faith. And so we're looking to, in adult discipleship, have more of those events kinds of things that are outside of just the day-to-day, but that will give us an opportunity to focus in on our faith. I also hear rumblings that there might be some interest in a seniors ministry, and there might be some energy around some leadership for that. So I love the idea of doing that. I've also been wanting to get a men's ministry going here at the church too. So hopefully those are things that once we're fully staffed, we can begin to get more energy into. And if you are excited about things like that, come talk to us if you want to provide some leadership. In our missions area, we are continuing missions partnerships with all of the organizations you see on the screen. We have new leadership. Stacy Pelton is now our lead liaison for One Dublin. And as you may be familiar with all of the liaisons for all of the other missions that we do. Our mission partnerships are even more important now that our government funding of things like food banks and clothing ministries and care for the poor and the least of these, that is going away. So that's when the church steps up. If you look at the scriptures, that's the role of the church. So we're gonna need to focus in a little bit more as these organizations find themselves in times of deeper need. We're excited to have the largest international mission team that we've had in many, many years, with 22 people going to Guatemala last year, or this in 2025. And in general, though, my goal has always been to get more people engaged in hands-on ministry, supporting these ministries with service, with time, with volunteerism, rather than just writing checks. Because transformation really comes for us when we get engaged. So I'm always going to be striving toward getting more and more people engaged and active in these ministries. I didn't know where the green team would fit. It's kind of a mission and kind of just the way we live out our faith. But I also want to mention the work of the green team. They've got the recycling bins going, and there's a project that they're working on to expand the dumpster area so that we can get a recycling dumpster here on property. So the green team is also hard at work and dreaming about what's possible for us as we care for God's creation. In the worship life of the church, we have continued to have excellence in our music ministries, and you'll see it on the screen, the worship attendance. This is something that you may not be aware of. See the blue corner of the pie? A third of our worship attendance is online still, on average, every Sunday. So when I look at that camera, there's not a lot of folks that typically sit over here, but when I'm looking at that camera, I know I'm looking at 84 people and preaching to 84 people. And when I look at that camera, and then when I look back there. Our online ministry is still really vital and important, and Dylan does a fantastic job. I would put his work up against any other live stream that's out there in churches around our area. What we find, though, is that these aren't just folks who are just sitting at home because they don't want to get out of bed. These are folks who, a lot of folks catch up with, they weren't able to be in church on Sunday, so they tune in online, or maybe their kids are at a soccer tournament and they're able to remain connected with the life of the church. So, or maybe they catch a replay of it. But we also have a group of folks who come to Indian Run, and before they ever come, they watch us online for a period of weeks or months. We had one woman who has recently started being a part of us. She knew she was moving to Dublin from Delaware and was looking for churches and started tuning in with us online and had been watching us online. And then she finally came when she moved here. She started connecting with us. So the online worship is the new front door of the church. It used to be people would check out your church by driving through the parking lot and walking through the front door. That's not how it happens. The first experience people have with the church is online these days, and we do a great job of connecting with folks online and continuing our ability to maintain connection with the church through our online worship. But I want to go back to the fact that our music ministries, a couple of years ago, we went through some change in leadership, and we've had a couple of years of stability in our music leadership, and it has borne fruit, and I just am really excited about and thankful for the high quality of musicianship from both our music leaders, but also our ensembles, our the choir, the bell choir, the praise band, the kids choir. It's been really great. Next, I want to talk about care ministries. We continue to care for one another in meaningful and helpful ways. We have the active quilt ministry that we're regularly caring for people and providing love in that way. We have teams that do home and hospital visits, not just Pastor Lynn or myself, but folks lay folks who make those kinds of visits. We have the prayer chain that is very active, the caregivers support group that's been renewed this fall. We had last year the Grief Share ministry as supporting people in times of grief. Our military support initiative started again just today, and will continue. We'll announce it next Sunday too, as we're closer to Veterans Day. But military support, college care packages, and the card ministry. So we do reach out and care for one another in meaningful and helpful ways. And then we have our facilities. Our facilities usage is up. This is a bit of an eye chart, so bear with me. But you may not know that over the summer we had, for the past several years, we've had a kids camp called Sandlot. And they've used our facility Monday through Friday for, I think it was 5 weeks this past summer, or was it 6? I think 6. It was 6 weeks this past summer. And then another week this summer, we had the Columbus Chinese Academy that used our space over the summer, which was a really great group. We have Al-Anon that meets here on Saturday mornings. We have a line dancing group from the community that comes in on Friday afternoons. And we have regular Red Cross blood drives. We have Julie Stroop, who's a certified CPR trainer, uses our facility to teach people CPR. We're used as a voting location. We have homeowners association meetings here. We have small groups within our own church that meet in the facility. So we are continuing to use our facility in meaningful and helpful ways. One of the great concerns of church leaders is how many churches are just dead space Monday through Saturday, and it comes alive on Sunday mornings, but then it's not used for anything the rest of the time. Well, we are putting this building to use, and we have a spirit of being open to organizations so that we can be a partner with the community. So we have had some enhancements that we've been doing over the past year, and I would say that the primary area of enhancement that we've accomplished in this past year has been drainage. We've had some issues with water seeping in under door frames and into classrooms, and building puddles in the preschool area. And so we've spent maybe not tens, but thousands of dollars getting drainage issues cared for. That's been kind of the primary thing. And then, of course, getting the new door entryway was a huge project for a long time last year and into this year. We've also moved our music room from off the sanctuary to in the space right there, now that the Welcome Warehouse, or the One Dublin, is no longer using that space. So our bells have a permanent place to be set up and do their practice, and the choir has space there. So we've moved all of the music to 109, and then we're trying to use other spaces to eventually create warmer spaces for small group meetings and things like that. Rather than sitting in like a boardroom or something, we want to create like your living room kind of a feel. So we have ideas for that kind of stuff. We did also, just in kind of not quite breaking news, but really recently, we installed a video doorbell at the front office, so that the doors can be locked throughout the week, so that our children in Parents Morning Out in the preschool, as they begin to use more of the space in the building, this is a locked down facility. So if you're used to just blazing right through those doors and on a weekday, remember that they're going to be locked, and you're going to have to ring the doorbell. And so that again is to care for and make this a place that is safe for all, especially our children. We have a laundry list of future projects that that different folks within the church have requested and that we would like to be able to do. Those projects will require and will be dependent upon funding availability. And so we have some desires to help the church feel more like 2025. They often say when you walk into a church, you get a sense of what year it feels like where this church is. And we want it to feel like 2025 for people who are coming through the church. But again, we have ideas. We have lots of different projects. The facilities team has a big laundry list of things that we can do, or we could do, again, dependent upon where we're headed as a church and what kind of funding we have available. Speaking of funding, I want to turn it over now to our finance leadership team. Dennis and Tim will take the mic and share a little bit about where we are financially.
Well, welcome. We're glad to be here today. This is a board session, sort of. And I'd like to do one thing before we go any further. Would all the board members currently with us stand up? I think it'd be nice to know who's taking care of you behind the scenes and trying their best to make sure the church stays on the straight and narrow course and does all the things that I think you'd like to see us do. Tim and I are up here. Cheryl, you didn't want to come up, right? Okay, I want to make sure. Okay, I want to make sure I didn't offend you on that one. But Tim and I are here today to talk a little bit about some of the financial things that we see. One of the first things I said when I joined the board, I said, the business of a church is ministry. Theology, religion, faith, but without business, you can't have ministry. Today, you just heard the pastor, Jeff, go through a number of issues that require some fiscal commitments and involvement. It costs money to do those things. So today, Tim and I are going to give you a quick review of what we've been doing as a group, and I don't know I'll leave it right there for a second. As treasurers, I want you to know that we're being responsible for what you've asked us to do. We are doing monthly work to make sure the books and records are accurate. We're reporting to the board of any issues we see. We're trying to draw a little more attention to just the financial direction and commitment of the church and what we're doing with the money you have entrusted us. I grew up in the cooperative spirit with hundreds and hundreds of cooperative organizations across America, and I've been around meetings where groups represented 50,000 people, and we've talked to 200. As you know, 50,000 don't show up. But we're here today to talk to you about some of the finances as a collective group, and hopefully I'd like to make one other point. If anything today leaves you wondering, Tim and I and others are available for private sessions, as is Pastor Jeff, and Alan as chairman to meet with you and talk in greater detail. We'll go down every line item on the financial statements. We'll talk about every deposit if you want us to. But I want you to feel great comfort that we are spending a lot of time and attention looking at what's going on in the record keeping and operations of the finances. The second thing, too, is a couple of years back, they made a big mistake. They asked me to do the annual review, and I got them introduced to generally accepted accounting principles, and that led down another road, yada, yada, yada. But we had our first CPA audit done completely, thoroughly, as required by the Book of Discipline for the year-end 23, and it was a clean opinion. That's a good sign. And I want to tell you that the CPA firm was independent of this church, did a great job, got into a lot of detail, and that audited financial statement is available to any member in this church if they want to read it. If it bores you to death, we can interpret it for you, or you can trust us, whatever you want to do, but it's out there and available for you. So we're very, very excited about that, and we're currently vetting interested parties for this year's work. By the Book of Discipline, you have to do it every 2 years, a certified audit. That was our first audit ever in the church, complete audit. A lot of people that are not accountants think an audit is just any time an accountant looks at something. That's not the way the situation works. Having been certified for 50 years before he was born, I've been certified for 50 years. I can tell you that our records are in great order in that regard. The other thing we did too that was really important, we've got an endowment fund, 4 of them, over $400,000 that was entrusted in the leadership board in this church to limit its disbursements every year, but to help different missions around the country, within the church, and some of the operating, like worship, music, general endowment. There's 4 endowment funds, but together those funds are limited to 5% payout a year. So they're perpetual. They keep going and going and going. That's a tremendous, I think, a tremendous effort was made years ago by a small group of people that grew to others contributing to it. And you know, we have the giving tree and everything else out on the wall, but it's been a very positive experience. And also, we took money that was sitting in basically a non-earning cash account and put it in a swap account under investment management, and that's turning a very favorable return in accordance with the requirements by the Book of Discipline. So you just can't go out and buy crazy stocks or invest in shorts and longs and options and futures. So we're dealing with the requirements of the church as established well above our heads to make sure we're in compliance with that. But we are seeing a decrease in cash reserves. What we're seeing is the expenses going out are exceeding the revenue coming in. It's pretty simple math, and some of that is tied to inflation. The next slide I had was talked about donations. If I could see the next slide, please. Maybe. Thank you. This is just some highlights, and I do this in a simple view. I hope it's simple. I apologize if it's not, but revenues from pledges are about 2% a year increase over the last 9 or 10 years, and our expenses are about 3.7. That's really good. That's almost inflationary fixed. So this group works very hard to keep costs down. Every week we go in here and we talk, I'm on the facilities team too, and Amy says, well, we got to watch that. We can't spend this. We got to fix that. Better roll that up. We can retape that. We can fix that. And you know, you can only do that so long on a 40-year-old building without some needs and necessities. When I got in here and they were fixing an air conditioner, they told me they have 40 air conditioner and heating units throughout the whole complex of the building. I don't know if anybody fixed your furnaces at home, but they don't do it so cheaply anymore. So there's quite a bit of cost, and they've kept that very, very close. The total expenses, I put up there, 87% of the money we spend is tied to 3 variables. And the first variable is staffing. And this number is a year in which Russell isn't on the payroll for most of the year. That's going to go up a little bit. Over the years, it's usually 56%, 57%. Major repairs are almost 20, 25% every year of the money we spend. And that's just stuff you hardly even see. Some of it you do see, obviously. So none of this is improvements. And apportionment for the missions, for the district and that, we cut that third quarter. It's usually 10 to 15%. We cut out $20,000 this year trying to save money. And even with that, we're going to lose money this year in the way of net income. Not cash out of business, close the door, but just operating loss. And over the years, the last 9 years, we were making about $12,000 a year, roughly. A little bit of loss, a little bit of gain. And by the way, the church is not here to be a profit maker. It's here to be able to fund all its missions and challenges and responsibilities. And when Tim talks to you about how we're doing in 2025, I think you'll see that we're having a little more difficult time in the last year or two in the way of staying in the positive category.
Thanks, Dennis. So Dennis hit on a few numbers already here on 2025. So these results are through the month of September. So year-to-date pledged and unpledged donations are up a little over 2%, so close to what we've seen over the last 10 years. We are under budget very slightly, about $5,800. So to put context to that, I think our budgeted giving is a little under $800,000. So we're pretty close to what we budgeted. And then on the year-to-date loss, excluding depreciation, think of that as your operating cash. We're down about $25,000. And as we've noted, we've been running a vacancy for most of the year. And then, as Dennis noted, we paused on the third quarter apportionment. That's helped save some of the cash there. With depreciation, we're down almost $100,000. Depreciation is a new piece that we've added into the financial statements to recognize the fact that we need to invest in this facility to keep it up over time. We don't want to come with an emergency campaign, so we're trying to be planful in how we think about funding the upkeep of the facilities. Over the last 3 years, the net loss is down about $165,000. So just highlighting again that we've seen a recent trend of losses on a cash basis compared to roughly break even over the last 9 years. I think we're ready to go to the next slide. Okay, so some of the solutions that we have to kind of get to a more operating break-even point, and these are in no particular order. We can increase the space usage fees. So one of the, like the Sandlot usage, just as an example, just make sure that we're getting, we've got consistent and fees that like somebody doesn't have to pick and choose on, you know, I should charge this group this fee or this group that fee, and just be consistent about the usage fees for the facilities. We can reduce apportionment payments, which we've done for the third quarter. We can defer church improvements and enhancements. We don't want to do that. We can reduce maintaining the building and property, or we can come and ask the congregation for additional donations. And then lastly, what we're looking at is we could sell a part of the lot that's not being used, increase our cash position, and we can use those cash proceeds to, the interest on that cash can help fund the operating needs of the church, which could essentially get us back to break even. The principal from those proceeds cannot be used for the operating needs of the church. So that is a key thing that we want to make sure that we highlight as we're thinking about the sale of the property. Yeah.
That's an important note because I want you to understand that we take very seriously our fiduciary responsibility to everybody. And if we have, I did a little bit of math. I thought if we could sell the lot and make a legitimate price. By the way, we had a commercial appraisal done by a licensed professional. We know what it's worth. I've got a bid in hand from a builder that's below that, and we're not going to accept it. And we're looking to talking to agents and other parties to see if we get our bid closer to market value. But that principle, whatever that principle is, it'll be cash reserves used for improvements to this church only. That's required by the Book of Discipline. We can't take that money and go fix up this or pay somebody a salary or pay a new expense. You're not allowed to do that. That's against the code. And we understand that code. We review it constantly. So we're anxious to see if we can get some capital in, cash capital in, to help with those improvements over the next few years. Last year, I interviewed a lot of people, and I had an extensive document of things we need to do, got a price, and the board went, can't afford that. I said, absolutely. We have plenty of cash right now. We're not out of cash, don't get me wrong. And we're not coming back looking for a single, campaign. We need $1 million. A friend of mine was at one other church. He said they had a $2.8 million campaign to reduce the debt the church had. And they got the money within 3 months, paid off the church's debt. I want you to know the church you belong to has a $50,000 loan against it for its property. And the only reason we didn't pay it off, it's about 3.7% interest. And we didn't want to waste our money because we can make more than that on the cash we have in our available cash reserves. So this church is not out of cash. This church is not in problems. But I've always taken a view of business and life is that it's a long run. It's not about today, what we're doing here. It's about the next 5 years. It's about 40 years ago when a group got together and said, let's have a church. Did they ever picture this? I don't know. I know many of you have been involved with startup organizations and programs, and at first you kind of just pause and go, can we do this? Then 20 years later, you go, we did that? Unbelievable. And I think when I look at this program, I think the two things we're asking you to think about, we believe the property is not a yielding property. Well, we spent $500,000 on almost 20 years ago, and we don't make anything on it when you take away the maintenance costs from the little bit of fees we get for using it. Everything Jeff put up there on the screen, except for 1 or 2 of them, was built around fees that are inside the building. They love our church. The Sandlot's one group that uses the outside. And we ask them if they want to buy the lot. We'll sell them the lot if they want. So we're in a position to sell the property at a reasonable price, market price, put the cash in reserves to help future improvement in the church, and from that, make some earnings until we use it. We may not use it in a hurry, but we're going to use it over time. And those additional earnings, plus a little bit of additional giving of $15 or $20 a month out of our 250 standard givers, would get us in the part where the property plus a little bit of additional support would help us keep this in a break-even position. Churches should not be making a profit to speak of, but they certainly shouldn't be going backwards. And if anybody knows churches that have closed, they've closed because of financial mismanagement or lack of congregation. I think we got a great congregation. We just need to think about our financial status. Any closing thoughts?
No, I think you hit it on the head, and I think currently our cash position, I don't think we've had it on here, is about $350,000.
30 plus check.
Okay, yeah.
40 in check.
Okay, so $350,000 to $400,000 in cash, just to provide some more context on.
Slowly moving backwards.
Correct, yeah, to give you context on the other numbers that we were showing on the 25,000 operating loss that we're seeing this year, just to help provide all that context.
So any private parties who want to talk to us will be available, and we'll go through every item and go through. Thank you.
Thank you. How to follow that? How do you follow a financial update? With something new and exciting and fun. So, but no, I really do thank our financial leaders of the church who have helped us really pay attention to where we are and where we're headed. We have a new church app that is officially being launched today. So this is the exciting new announcement that I mentioned in worship. Our new church app will enable you to access our member directory, pictorial directory that will be that you will be required to opt into. We can't just publish your information. You have to say yes, and this is the information that I wish to share, and you have to upload your picture, and we can help you with that if that's not a thing if that's not exciting for you. But we're going to have an online membership directory. You can also check in your kids. So you can, before you get into the line to hit the little kiosks over there, you can prep everything in the app on your phone, and then put a QR code up to the screen, and it'll print your kids' your address or name labels and whatnot. You can check in the kids. You'll be able to submit your prayer requests through the app. You can fill out a digital connection card. So instead of the little white connection cards, you can fill in the connection card through the app. You can manage your online giving. You can give online through the app, but then you can also see all of your previous giving, your record of giving, and you can update your credit cards or whatever, however your online bank accounts. All of that can be done through the app. You'll be able to listen to and or watch worship services, and as of about a month and a half ago, we've been splitting out the sermons. So if all you want is the sermon, or if there's a particular sermon that you want to share with somebody, you can look at just the sermons. And those sermons, now that through the way that we got this new church app is that we've moved to a different church management system called Church Center. And it integrates all of this. And Church Center enables us not only to publish our sermons and worship services on the app, but our sermons are now a podcast on Spotify and on Apple iTunes, or the Apple Podcasts. So you can, if that's something that you like to do, to listen to podcasts and things, you can access our sermons as a podcast. You can manage your Sunday morning volunteer scheduling. So we're rolling this out slowly. Different ministry teams have begun to utilize it, but for example, our liturgists all get assigned a Sunday that they're going to be liturgists. And through the app, they can say, whoop, my schedule changed. I need to cancel being a liturgist on that Sunday. And it will automatically send an email to everybody on the liturgist team saying, there's now an opening for this Sunday, and it doesn't require the staff to get involved in that. It's all kind of behind the scenes in the electronic world. So we're going to be rolling that out with more and more ministry teams that help on Sunday mornings. You can connect with a small group. There's an area in the app where you can look at all the different small groups of the church, and even within your small group, you can have separate group chats or send prayer requests to one another. You can have conversations. You can share curriculum and things like that. So we ask you to hang with us. We're still working out some kinks and learning how the software works on the back end and how the staff will engage with the church management system. But we're really excited about this. We think it's gonna, especially for younger generations who do absolutely everything on their phone, but it's also helpful for older generations who don't necessarily understand website stuff, but can understand how to do it on their iPad or on their phone. If you know how to do texting or whatever on your phone, you can use the church app. You don't have to use the church app, but it's available. So it kind of brings us into the 21st century in a new way. We're going to send out an email later this week with instructions on how to get your information into the church membership database. We have that information, but as I said, we are not able to share it. You are in charge of what gets shared. And so we can help you with that. If technology isn't your thing, we're going to have some folks after this meeting right now. They're going to be out in the hallway where we can take your picture, we can get your information shared, but you'll also be getting an email, and don't confuse it with a scam email. Because it's going to look like Pastor Jeff wants your information, and that's a popular scam that goes around these days. So this one won't be that. You should be able to tell. If you are ever concerned about an email looking fishy, contact me about it and let me know, because I don't ask for gift cards like some of the I may at some point, but. So pay attention to that email. There's going to be instructions on our website to know how to do all this. And before you leave, we're going to give you a QR code where you can download the app even today. But we're not going to do that now because we want your focus on the Q&A session and not on the app. So there are a few other things that you're going to need to do with the app. There is a new online giving platform within it. So we had been using a company called ShareFaith for our giving. We're now moving to Stripe will be the new electronic giving platform. But it will require, if you give regularly, if you have an automated giving set up through the online stuff, you're going to have to change that to our new online giving platform. We can't do that for you, again, for safety and legal reasons. You have to be in charge of that. So you are going to have to re-enter all of that information if you give electronically. But the nice thing is, it's going to save us on transaction fees. As we look at the amount of online giving that we get and what the difference in transaction fees is with this, we think we're going to save over $2,500 a year just in the transaction fees, the costs of that. And the current ShareFaith billing billing program will be active through the end of the year, so it's not critical that you do it today, but the sooner you're on the new one, the better it is for everybody, and there'll be a cutoff after 2 months. The goal of all of this is to make it easier for you to interact and engage with the church. If you're not tech savvy, you're not going to be forced to use the app, but it's here to help, and we're here to help you if you need that or want that help. So we're really excited about the new app. We're a little anxious about what it's going to be like once we live into it and as we learn the new technology, but we're excited. That's We're actually almost 5 minutes over our time of providing you information. It's time for Q&A. So what questions? We'll have the leadership board members. Why don't you all come up and we can pass the mic to whoever the right person is. Andrea, why don't you come up too, just in case there's a question. But what questions do you have about the future of the church, about the current status of the church, about anything that you've heard in our presentation today? I'll run the mic around.
What is the land zoned that you're thinking about selling?
So the question was, what is the land that we're considering selling? And I'll answer that. It's the property that is the big grassy field here on the other side. What is it zoned?
It's zoned R1. It's 5.43 acres. It was a second purchase we made back in about 07-ish, roughly, and we paid $500,000 for it. And it's basically the tree line next to the playground and all that, going back all that open field to the next tree line before the residential area, out to the street front, back to the creek. And home builder has told us the best way to deal with that property would be a couple of large homes versus 7 or 8 traditional homes, as noted down Brand Road. So far, that's what we know.
And I do want to mention that this conversation has been going within the board for a little over a year. We're reluctant to sell the property, but we also recognize that we're not currently using it for, and we don't have a vision for what that property will be used for, and the cost of maintaining it, just to mow it, is several $100s each time we mow it. And Amy, it's $500 every time we just mow the lawn. So there's a cost to maintain it, but so we're looking at how do we be the best stewards of the investment that was made to purchase that. Or, is it furthering is that investment furthering the ministries of our church, or is it not? So that's kind of where we are with that.
And if you ever were over there, it's a great place to break your ankle because there's plenty of holes there.
Just wondering why it was bought originally?
My understanding is that it was part of the vision to when the property owners were ready to sell it. We had a vision at one point to build a family life center back in 2006 or 2007, a big gymnasium, that kind of stuff. And that when the markets crashed in 2007 or 8, that vision kind of went away. So, and that's not really where churches are headed these days. Churches really aren't building those big family life centers anymore. That's just not the reality of the church world in 2025.
I know some other churches also have land like this that's available, and they're trying to use it to help with some of the housing issues. Are we considering that? Should we consider that?
So we haven't officially considered it. So the question was, should we consider using the land for low-income housing kinds of things to support folks that are, so that's, I think, our goal is to be the best stewards of that property for the ministries of the church, and I'll let Dennis.
We did discuss that. That came up as one of the many subjects that was discussed. And our conclusion was this church is not structured or built to be real estate developers. for that purpose or other purposes, whether that be 5 expensive homes or 40 units for underprivileged and less fortunate individuals, and we just didn't see ourselves as property managers. Some churches do that. They rent the property, they own the property, they build, they rent or make it available as it might be. So we did talk about it, but it didn't go very far.
Would that be something, though, that we maybe should talk about as a congregation?
Yeah, it's something that we absolutely can talk about. And to be clear, by discipline, the board cannot just up and sell the property. It has to be a congregational decision. It has to go before the district board of building and property, and the plans approved by the district, because property in the United Methodist Church is held in trust. We don't own it, the denomination owns it. So there's other kinds of things like that.
The other thing I want to point out, following up on what Jeff just said, we can only use it for the church's purposes, such as I said, improvements or remodeling or renovation. If it isn't used for that, you have to give it to the master church. And second of all, I think that it would be an awful lot of engagement for people not to know how to use that property properly the way you described. But more importantly, I want to accent one thing. We have to give the congregation a 10-day notice of a special meeting to discuss the sale of the land. So what we're telling you today is what we're working on. We cannot do this transaction without the congregation. If the congregation says, no, I want to do it for the purpose you discussed, then we would have to back off the transaction.
What other questions do we have? Anything from? No? Feeling good? Okay. Well, I want to close with a closing prayer that comes from a man by the name of Dag Hammarskjöld. He was the second Secretary General of the UN, and he wrote a spiritual journal called Markings. And in his spiritual journal, he had this prayer, and we can throw it on the screen because we're going to do it responsively. For all that has been, we say thanks. And for all that will be, we say yes. So let's say that together. For all that has been, thanks. For all that will be, yes. May it be so. Thank you for being with us. We are open for more questions. There are going to be a couple of tech gurus out there at the tables in the narthex that can help you with your iPhones. Let's throw the QR code on the screen. If you want to download the new church app, grab that QR code and have some fun playing with it this afternoon. And if you find challenges or questions about it, I'm kind of the tech guru on the staff that is working on the app. So contact me first, but others on the staff may be able to help you. So thank you again for being here. God bless you. May God continue to bless Indian Run as we move into the future. Amen.